Hi, this is Kathie from Craft with Kathie. Thanks for joining me this evening. I'm doing something totally different and actually something I've never done before, so this might be a learning process. I'm not quite sure. Sorry about that. So it's going to be pretty simple, I think, but we'll see. You'll see me trying out a product that I haven't ever used before. I'm kind of excited about it and anxious to get going with it. But before I do that, I want to add a little welcome to the sign. And I am going to borrow the word welcome off of February's Club Couture, the welcome-ish transfer, and go with that. So before I do it, before I actually paste it, I'm going to take it off of its little backer sheet and fuzz it so that it doesn't stick quite so snugly. This is a found chalkboard, which I'm pretty sure I'm going with 80% confidence that it's really chalkboard because I have used a few other things from the company and they were chalkboard. If you're ever not sure, wax it. I once used something that said it was chalkboard and it ended up just being painted black, and it was like, oops, that was an issue. So, oh, and I picked up a nice piece of fuzz here, didn't I? Looks from a towel. Okay, so I'm going to center this up near the top because I want to make room for some other things at the bottom, and just kind of measuring up against my little checkerboard, up at the top, trying to get it in between the center of the board. And let's see. No, of course not. I need to move over a little bit more. So let me lift it up and do that again. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I think that'll work. Oops. If it's off balance or something, I'll just add something over here. So I'm going to do the welcome using my bright white chalk paste. I want to make sure this is down nice and smooth, no air bubbles underneath it. I don't really feel anything and I don't see anything, so I think I'm fine. Ooh, my chalk paste, look at a little dry. So let me add a little bit of distilled water to that to get it to the right consistency. Probably my bad habit of leaving the cover off my paste. The reason you use distilled water is you don't want it to take any chance of any minerals from your tap water interfering with the pigmentation in the paste or the pigments in the paste and altering the color. So I'm just going to mix this in real quick and I think we'll be good to go. Get a feel for it, what you need. If you accidentally put too much distilled water, then all you need to do is leave the lid off your jar for a little bit of time and it'll thicken up because our chalk paste is made from chalk. And it is not chalk paint. Don't mix up the two. Total difference. And because our chalk paste is water soluble, see, this is getting more the consistency that I want it to be. I might need just a teeny little spray more in there. You want it to have kind of the consistency of like yogurt or sour cream. You want it to be able to hold its shape, but you don't want it to be runny. So this looks, see? Kind of holds its shape. I think this will work fine. And that didn't take long, did it? But in reality, I should get used to, let me wipe off my squeegee. I definitely don't want to put some dry paste in there. Get used to keeping the cap on your paste when you're not using it. Bad habit of mine. Okay, it just looked like that was lifting a little bit. And I'm going to hold my board still while I do this. This is one of our transfers from a new vendor, and it's somewhat translucent, which I hope is going to help. Well, I'm not actually using this one, but for the second part of this, I think it will help with what I need to do. You'll see. Won't take me long to get there. I just want to make sure I get all the silkscreen covered. I'm notorious for leaving off pieces of my letters, so I'm just checking real closely. Got the tops, got the bottoms. Want to smooth it out. Make sure there aren't any lines. Remove the excess. Oops, see, look at, I almost missed the little bottom of that W. Okay, put the excess paste back in my jar, and let's lift it up and take a look. Ah, that welcome looks nice and clear. Nice and crisp. That's the beauty of our transfers. You get such lovely images from them. It really makes crafting and whatever so much more fun. You get to spend more time in actually composition and ideas than playing with weeding and whatever else. Okay, so I am going to put this aside to dry while I show you the second component of this little design. And I know I have some fingerprints on my board right now. I'm not going to worry about them. Before I do anything permanently, I will get rid of those fingerprints. So I'm going to set this aside to dry and go on to the next part. I am coming at you from the suburbs west of Chicago. Drop me a line and let me know where you're viewing from. Now, in case you haven't seen these are our Couture Boutique Chalkable Chips. This is from Family of Gnomes. Let me open this up, and I have to decide which ones I'm going to use. I have never used this product before. However, everybody fell in love with them, and I'm pretty sure that all of them, well, maybe the cake lasted a little bit more than a week, but I think everything just flew off the shelves and was gone. And we had woodland animals, and we had a birthday, or a cake, I should say, necessarily birthday cake, the gnomes, and the spring cottontail bunny. They did a limited production because the company wasn't really sure how they were going to be taken, if everyone was going to like them or not. And I think they basically had a much higher demand than anyone anticipated. So while these particular items will not be remade or reissued, as far as I know at this point, we will be having new chalkable chips coming out in the future. So look for other ones a little bit down the road. And these are made out of the same material as our chalkboards, or like our round chalkable chips, if you've ever used those. So they're fully erasable, reusable, whatever, which makes them really cool to use and to work with. And this is our transfer called Family of Gnomes that coordinates with the chalkable chips. So let me take this out of its packaging. I need to cut it into pieces. I'm just going to be using images from the bottom, but let me go ahead with that and then match it up with a couple of those gnomes and get moving on this. If you're not aware or you haven't heard, we're right in the midst of Transferpalooza. Transferpalooza allows you to buy 3 transfers and get the 4th for free. The free transfer will be the one with the least value or the least expensive. But we also have, we're offering 50% off of our Easter, religious, and spring transfers right now. And yes, you can combine the two. So it's like a sale on steroids. It's really a cool thing. So I'm just going to cut the bottom portion over here off of it to make it a little bit easier to work with. I'm not going to be using the phrases from this transfer on my surface. I might use the flowers. I might put some flowers at the bottom. It's kind of what I'm thinking, just an idea. But it's a really cool transfer, and like I said, it matches the chalkable chips. Are you a gnome person? Okay, so I'm going to see, let's see what I want to make. I think this is the right one, maybe, with the big mustache. Yeah. And obviously our gnomes, our chockable chips are double-sided. And let's see, just get the rest of these that I'm not going to be using out of the way to clear up my surface a little bit, to make things a little bit easier to work with. Okay, I might only be going with 3 of these. I'm not quite sure. We'll see. So, before I could use them, I actually have to fuzz this transfer. And this transfer is from a new vendor, and it's somewhat translucent. You could kind of see through it. I'm going to remove it from the backer. This is one of our size C transfers. It's 12 by 18 inches, so it's a little bit larger than a lot of the ones that I work with. But I am going to, I could have left that backer on it. Oh, decisions, decisions. I'm just going to fuzz this as best as I could. And, oh, I definitely want to get this gnome on it because I'm definitely doing the top one at the top left. Get that placed a little bit better there. Actually, I've got them all to fit, so that's good. I could just lift up half, put it down, lift up the other half, put it down. It's much easier for me to do this than lift up the entire transfer at one time, because sometimes I work a little quickly and I run the risk with a larger transfer of this of getting it stuck to each other if I flip the whole thing up and it kind of waves in the air and then sticks to itself. If that ever happens to you, just be patient and gently nudge or ease the pieces apart. If you cannot get them apart, don't panic. Go over to the sink and run them under like cool or lukewarm water. And as you're doing that, just still try to gently nudge them apart. The big thing is just be patient, take your time, and it'll work. Just don't get unhinged about it. It's not that big of a deal. You can get it to unstick. Okay, maybe 2 more fuzzes and then I think we're good to go. This is a brand new transfer, so obviously it's sticking rather snugly to my fuzzing cloth. If you don't have a fuzzing cloth, you can use a towel, a sweater, a pair of jeans, basically anything that's going to leave a little bit of lint on the back of the transfer. They're adhesive backed, so that it allows you to put it on a surface and it's not stick as snugly as it would otherwise. So I think I'm going to start with this one. This is my, oops. I'm going to start with the tallest one. No, not the tallest one actually, but the mustached one. Okay, let's see. Here he is. Now, my concern is lining this up. And normally I would line something up over like this. And I didn't know if I could really do that, if it would work well for me or not. But let's try it. And just to make things a little bit easier and protect things a bit, I am going to cover up part of this transfer, not the gnome that I'm going to use though, with the backer sheet so that I don't accidentally get something stuck to itself. So let's just try positioning this and see how it goes. I wasn't sure if I'd need a light table for this or not. I have a light table, but I didn't bring it out here because I thought if this is so translucent, which it seems to be, then it should be pretty easy to line up. I just need the bottom lined up a little bit better here. Oops. I wonder if I just need to flip it around because it doesn't look quite right. Let's try the other side. There we go. That's much, much better. Oops, until I moved it. Let's shake it on loose and try that again. Oops. Now I am working over our mat, which our transfers will not stick to the mat. I mean, they'll stick slightly, but you can lift them up. If I was using my glass mat, I wouldn't advise using a glass mat because our transfers do stick to glass very, very snugly because it's so smooth and non-porous. Okay, so I'm just smoothing that down. Then I'm going to grab some of my shimmer shadow, and I probably should stir this. It's been a while since I've used it, so let's make sure it's the proper consistency. Oh, it's a little thick too. It's been a couple months, I think, since I used that. So let me add a little bit of water in there, stir it up, and check it out. Sorry, I know I'm a little bit off camera. I didn't realize it. If you have any questions, just drop them in the comments, and I'll be happy to get back to you about anything. I will put the link to A Family of Gnomes in the description on YouTube, so you can check it out. On Facebook, I'll just put a link in the first comment to where these could be found. Let me stir that up a little bit more. Still a little thick. I just want to thin it down a teensy bit more, and then we're good to go. Okay, I think this is good. Grab a squeegee. Now, I've never done this before. I've never used these chockable chips in this format. I have used our round chockable chips, which are fun to use. And they're nice. Our punches holes right through them, so they're great for putting on a keychain or for making a garland from. Lots of different uses for them. And the new manufacturer of these transfers, they're a different kind of texture. They're very smooth. I found that they use less paste and they actually clean up quicker. So I'm pretty excited about them. And you can see through them, so it makes it much easier to line things up. As was just witnessed, right? I wasn't quite sure. I expected it to be simpler. It sounds like it would be, but yep, definitely a little bit easier. Now let me just get that all covered here. Get rid of any lines, excess paste, put the excess paste back in my jar, and let's do a little peel and reveal here. I'm going to grab my detail tool to hold this chockable chip down as I lift this up. There we go. Now I'm going to put him on a side to dry and then come back to him later. I just don't want to bump when it's wet. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to go with this one. And yes, this is a little canine gnome. Get that lined a little bit better. I think that's pretty good right there. Smooth it out, smooth it down. Make sure there's no air bubbles. Okay, wanted to make sure that wasn't too close to the edge. Now, our chockable shapes can be used a lot of different ways. You could put them on a frame to give it a little bit more dimension, more 3-dimension, if you will. But what I'm probably going to do with these is I'm thinking of putting magnets on the back. Well, maybe magnets or maybe not. I didn't test my surface to see if a magnet on the front and a magnet on the back would be strong enough for these. So I might have to do that. Might have to check it out and make sure that they'll hold. But if they will, that's the game plan, is I'll just hold them on the surface with magnets instead of gluing them. That way they could always be removed and something else could be put down on the surface. I kind of like having that flexibility. Put my excess back in the jar. Grab my little detail tool here and let's take a look at this canine gnome. Aw, how sweet is that little puppy? Okay, I'm going to move him over to the side, let him dry. And I need to clean up my surface a little bit. I've got some paste that I don't want there. Okay. And of course I just got paste on the chalkable chip. Let me clean my fingers and clean that off, and I'll continue. I'm not sure if I'm going to have room for all 4 of these on the surface, so I'm going to do 3 of them and then lay them out, see if they look fine. And if there's room for the 4th, I'll add the 4th. If there isn't, I'll leave the 4th off. Just getting all the paste off my fingers, or most of it anyway, so I don't spread it onto anything else. And let me take it off of this chalkable chip, or chalkable shape. Okay, like I said, it's chalkboard, so it's erasable. Okay, so got the next part I want to do. I'm going to lift this backer sheet off of my transfer and move it over so that I have access to the next one I want to chalk. Lay it down. There we go. So I'm not getting paste or anything else on anything. Oops, this has to be flipped. Let's see if I could do it this way. Don't want to run into my chips that are drying over there. Isn't that funny? It's hard for me to line up and this far from me. Let me try it right side up and see what I can do. Oops, I got a little air bubble there. Okay. I think that's lined up fine. And I'll just continue. Isn't this quick and easy? No weeding, no playing around with the machine. Get right down into the fun part of crafting. And it goes so quick. I mean, really, most projects are less than an hour. You could do them one and done like I'm doing here with one color paste, or you could use multiple color paste. It's really what you're going for. I just thought, in keeping with the surface, that the black and white would look really nice. So I'm just doing it in the whole project in black and white. Let me get the edges there. Got that ear, got the top of the hat. Little paste really does go a long way. Okay, I'm smoothing it out. Of course, I just hit my finger. Let me clean up my finger. And lift that up. Now, if I made a mistake, all I'd have to do is wash it off with the chalkable chip. Wash my transfer to make sure the paste hasn't started drying in it or whatever. And then redo it. Wow. Cute, cute, cute. Okay, so I am going to put this transfer on the side for a moment, get my surface, and see if I could squeeze a little cat onto this project. If not, I'll have to leave the cat off. Now I am using a shimmer paste, which takes a little bit longer to dry than our regular paste. So bear in mind, I'm trying to be really careful with these because they might be a little wet yet. Oh, I think we can squeeze the cat in there. So let me add the cat, put this aside to dry, get the other piece done. And then we'll be finished. Okay, so here's my cat right in between. Oh, let me move my backer sheet around a little bit. So I've got things covered and protected a little. And we'll go right here. Now, I do have a little smudge here. Hopefully there's nothing dried in the silk screen there. I'm going to try doing it without cleaning it. If it smudges or doesn't look right, I'll just have to clean it and redo it. No big deal. Sometimes it helps to hold your surface down, especially if it's something lighter. You don't want it moving as you're applying your paste. You don't want it scooting away from you. Okay, this looks pretty good. Missed that little spot, just caught it. Smoothing it out, removing the excess paste. Let's take a look at it. As soon as I get the paste off of my fingers again, right? Oh my goodness. Chalky Kathie. What can I say? I'm a little bit clumsy, a little bit messy, but I do put my heart into my projects. When I realized that these products were washable and so easily, and I found out it was so easily to remedy any mistakes. I mean, I kind of try and go with the Bob Ross thing of no mistakes, just happy accidents. But it was like, oh my goodness, this is absolutely wonderful. And there's the cat. Move this out of the way. Clean up my surface a little bit. So the game plan is actually using magnets, and we do have adhesive magnets. They're adhesive on one side. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to, oh, well, that wasn't good. I just had one clatter to the floor. And of course it was the one I just did. Oh goodness, it landed chalk side up. Am I lucky or what? How fortuitous was that? There went my bulletin board. Oh well, okay. So, here we are. Get my hanger out of the way. Our little family of gnomes. Now, I might throw some of those little flowers in between here. I don't know, maybe not. Might be adding a little bit too much to do that. What do you think? How quick, simple, and easy was that? Seriously, I think we're at less than, well, just maybe a little bit over a half hour. I think it turned out really sweet. I think it would be nice, a nice housewarming gift for someone who likes gnomes. If I could bear to part with it, I'll have to see. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to test the magnets and put a magnet on this side and one on the back and see if they'll hold each other in place. And if so, I could have to think about how I need to do that. I could just attach the magnets on the back, attach the magnets to the back of each gnome, and move them around as I want, or barring that, if the magnets aren't strong enough or whatever, because these are fairly lightweight, but not real lightweight. If that doesn't work, I could just possibly use glue dots, a big glue dot, and glue them on here so that I could reuse this and change it as I wish. Maybe we need to add another member of the family. Or I could just, I could use permanent glue, but I like to be able to reuse things and change things up as things go on. So I'll probably do something that will allow me to remove these if I want. And then the welcome, of course, I could just wash off anytime I want. And if I choose to change these up and make them multicolored, all I have to do is spritz them with some water, hit them with the board eraser, wash the chalk off, and do it over in multiple colors. So if you get a chance, check out Transferpalooza and our 50% off of our spring, religious, and Easter transfers. It's really a great deal. Thank you so much for watching tonight. I truly do appreciate it. And like I said, suggestions, comments are always welcome. See you soon.